Buyers flocked to dealer showrooms over the weekend to get last-minute bargains before the Cash for Clunkers program ends today. Now, this program briefly turbocharged automaker sales, but the question is, of course, what happens now? Our own Greg Miles covers the auto industry, and he's here with that story. And, Greg, for starters, what kind of bargains did consumers get over this final weekend?
Well, consumers still got some of the best bargains they could have gotten in several years, but they were out of luck unless they got to the showrooms early, sometimes as early as Saturday, because there were still very low inventories of the most popular fuel-efficient cars, such as the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla, the Ford Fusion. So they had to choose some other kind of smaller fuel-efficient car or a mid-size car. At the same time, many dealers also cut off their offers as early as a Saturday morning. Because they had to process paperwork for the federal government, because, as you know, it's become such a nightmare. So if you were a consumer then and went down to that showroom, you couldn't get anything, okay? So that is not very appetizing if you were a consumer there. At the same time, to step back, you're talking about this program, if it ends up spending this $3 billion, it was a great shot in the arm short term. For the automakers, for the dealers, created a lot of excitement for the consumers who got some real good bargains.
So what happens now? What do the automakers do to fire up their sales now?
Yeah, now the hard part, because the problem is that U.S. consumers have been programmed, okay, to buy cars only when they get big fat incentives. And that's what the U.S. government program did. They offered a $4,500 credit, okay, to go out and buy a car, which essentially is getting money for free. Now, experts expect these incentive wars to continue to increase. If you looked at these numbers for June, this was before Cash for Clunkers, incentives rose by around 20%, or $500 to $2,900. That's an average per vehicle, okay, of the U.S. Now, I spoke with analyst John Wilkonowitz about this. He says that even Toyota, the #1 car maker, has boosted incentives. Let's listen.
Toyota rebates in the last year or so have been approaching the levels that are traditionally seen only from the American manufacturers. Toyota, really, for the last 2 years, has been seeking market share, and they really stepped up their incentive spending in order to do that.
So the problem, Scarlett, is you're going to see all these companies which are losing money having to boost up incentives, losing even more money to try to get people into showrooms.
Okay, game changer here for the auto industry, at least in the short term. Thanks very much, Greg Miles.